everyone, welcome back to my channel Easy English Learning. In today's English class, we'll be doing our next poem of literature, My Brother Built a Robot. It's written by Jack Prelutsky. He's an American writer of children's poetry. He has published over 50 poetry collections and is known for his happy, humorous, and imaginative poems. His poems have a lovely musical quality to them and can often be sung. He was named America's first children's poet laureate by the Poetry Foundation in 2006. This is a humorous poem about a robot that turns out to be more of a hindrance than help. Let's read the poem and find out. My brother built a robot. My brother built a robot that does not exactly work. As soon as it was finished, it began to berserk. Its eyes grew incandescent and its nose appeared to gleam. It bellowed unbendingly and its ears emitted steam. Now, what this means that the poet and his brother they are together, and the poet's brother he built a robot that does not exactly work. As soon as it was finished means as soon as when the brother of the poet he was finished making that robot, it began to berserk. Berserk means it began to go wild. It was not working the way the poet's brother wanted it to work. Its eyes grew incandescent. Incandescent means they were giving off heat or light. Means they were so heated up, they were so lighted up. And its nose appeared to gleam. Gleam means to shine. And its nose was shining. It bellowed unbendingly. Bellowed means to shout in a deep voice. To roar loudly. Roar means to shout. So what it was doing? It bellowed unbendingly. Unbendingly means not kindly or gently. Means the robot was not kind or gentle at all. He was shouting, which was not kind at all. And its ears emitted steam. You can see in the picture also the way it was giving off the steam. It was emitting steam from its ears. So everything was going wrong, in the wrong direction. The way the poet's brother wanted it to work, it didn't work like that. So now moving to next stanza, let's see what happens next. My brother built that robot to help us clean our room. Instead, it ate the dustpan and attacked us with the broom. It pulled apart our pillows and it disheveled both our beds. It took a box of crayons and it doodled on our heads. Now, what the robot did next? Now, my brother built that robot. Now, the poet is telling us his brother built that robot to help us clean our room so that the robot could help them to clean their room. Instead, what he did? It ate the dustpan. It actually ate the dustpan. The pan, the thing with which they were about to clean their room, that robot, it ate that dustpan and attacked us with the broom. And what it actually did? It was attacking the poet and his brother with the broom. It pulled apart. Broom is something that is used to sweep. It pulled apart our pillows. Now what it did? Pulled apart means you can see in the picture also, it just pulled apart all the pillows that were there in the room. It disheveled both our beds. Disheveled means it made a mess. They actually made the robot to clean their room, but the robot, it made the mess out of that room. It disheveled both our beds. You can see in the picture what it did. It created a mess on both the beds of the poet and his brother. It took a box of crayons and it doodled on our heads. Now, what it did next? It took a box of crayons, their colors. It took the colors of the poet and his brother and it doodled on our heads. Doodled means It created doodle on their heads, like the little kids they don't know how to write, they just doodle on the walls or on the notebooks. So the robot did the same thing with the poet and his brother. It took a box of crayons and it doodled on their heads. So you can see that this is a humorous poem, and the poet has created a humor that what they actually made robot and how it actually turned out to be. So moving to the next stanza, let's see what happened next. That robot seemed relentless as it tied our socks in knots, then clunked into the kitchen and dismantled pans and pots. The thing was not behaving in the fashion we had planned. It clanked into the bathroom and it filled the tub with sand. Now, what did they next? That robot seemed relentless. Relentless means tireless. He was not tired at all. He was not feeling tiring at all. He was relentless as it tied our socks in knots. And what it did? It tied the socks in knots and then clunked into the kitchen. Clunked means to strike or to hit. It hit the socks into the kitchen. He threw away those socks into the kitchen and dismantled pans and pots. Now it dismantled. Dismantled means pulled apart into pieces. It took all the pots and pans from the kitchen and it dismantled them. The thing was not behaving in the fashion we had planned. Now the poet and his brother, they are thinking that the way they wanted the robot to work, it was not working in the same manner. It was not behaving in the same fashion that they had planned. It clanked into the bathroom and it filled the tub with sand. Now, another example of humor is here. The poet has created clank means a kind of sharp metallic ringing sound. So, what it did, it just clanked because a robot is of that material, metallic material. So, it just clanked into the bathroom and it filled the tub with sand. And what it did, it took the sand and filled it with the tub with the sand. Now, moving to the next stanza, we tried to disconnect it, but it was to no avail. It picked us up and dropped us in an empty garbage pail. We cannot stop that robot, for we are steamed by one hitch. My brother didn't bother to equip it with a switch. Now, what actually happened, why it was not means working, and why the poet and his brother were not able to stop him, now we have got the answer. Now, the poet and his brother, they said that we tried to disconnect it. Disconnect means to cut off its power or switch off. We tried to cut off its power. But it was to no avail. No avail means it was useless. It was futile. It was of no use. It picked us up and dropped us in an empty garbage pail. Pail means a bucket. Means what it did, when they tried to switch off the robot to try to disconnect it, what the robot did, it picked both the boys, it picked them up and dropped them into an empty garbage bucket. It dropped them into empty garbage pail. Pail means bucket. We cannot stop that robot, for we are stamped by one hitch. Now, the poet and his brother, why they couldn't disconnect the robot? Because we were stamped by one hitch. Means their effort is hindered by a problem. Hindered means to hold back. Means something there was like that which was holding back, because of which they were not able to disconnect the robot. My brother didn't bother to equip it with a switch. Now, why it was happening? Because his brother, the poet's brother, he forgot to put a switch on the robot so that they could turn it off. So, they couldn't turn it off and it was creating a mess all over the room. They actually made it, the poet's brother, he actually made it, the robot, so that he could help them to clean their room. But what happened? What kind of humor that has poet has created? That it actually created the mess out of everything. Wherever he went, he just created the mess. So This was the poem My Brother Built a Robot by Jack Prelutsky. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the comments, or you can ask. This was the poem, and if you like this, please share and subscribe to my channel. For more videos like this, you can refer to class 6th and class 7th videos. Thank you so much.